Assalamualaikum. Dear guys, now I'll discuss about the reading classes. And we should spend about 20 minutes on questions 1 to 30, okay, which are based on reading classes 1 below. Dear guys, always remember you have to answer 1 to 13 question in classes 1. That's why we always concentrate at 1 to 13 means fast reading classes. Okay, and now I will discuss about why we need to protect polar bears. These reading classes, and you have to spend about only 20 minutes on questions 1 to 13. For answering question 13, you have to spend 20 minutes. That means you will get for each answer 1.5 minutes. That's why within this time you have to read, understand, comprehend all sorts of meaning of these passages, all sorts of meaning of each paragraph of this reading. Then you will read the question and try to understand the meaning of question. Then and then you have to answer, and you have to fill the total summary of the reading passage 1. Now, the heading of the reading passage is why we need to protect bears. Polar bears are being increasingly threatened by the effects of climate change, but their disappearance could have far-reaching consequences. Okay, far-reaching consequences. Polar bears are being increasingly threatened, okay, by uh, the effects of climate change, but that disappearance could have far-reaching consequences. Are uniquely adapted to the extreme condition of the Arctic Circle, where temperature can reach minus 40 degrees centigrade. On region for that is that they have up to 11 centimeters of fat underneath of their skin. They are uniquely adapted to extreme condition of the Arctic Circle, where temperature can reach minus 40 degrees centigrade. On region for this is that they have up to 11 centimeters of fat underneath of their skin. Humans with comparative levels of adipose tissue would be considered obese and would be likely to suffer from diabetes and heart diseases. Yet, the polar bear experience no such consequences. Okay, humans with comparative levels of adipose tissue would be considered obese and would be likely to suffer from diabetes and heart disease, yet the polar bear experiences no such consequences. 2014 study by Shi-Ping Liu and colleagues sheds light on this mystery. They compared the compared they compared the genetic structure of polar bears with that of their closest relatives from a warmer climate, the brown bears. Okay, 2014 study by Xu Ping Liu and colleagues sheds light on this mystery. They compared the genetic structure of polar bears with that of their closest relatives from a warmer climate, the brown bears. Okay, this allowed them to determine the genes that have allowed polar bears to survive in one of the toughest environments on Earth. Liu and his colleagues found the polar bears had a gene known as APOB, which reduces the levels of low density lipoproteins LDLs, a form of bad cholesterol. Okay, this allowed them to determine the genes that have allowed polar bears to survive in one of the toughest environment on Earth. Liu and his colleagues found the polar bears had a gene known as APOB, which reduces the levels of low-density lipoproteins (LDLs), a form of bad cholesterol. Mutations of this gene are associated with increased Risks of heart disease. Polar bears may therefore be an important study model to understand heart disease in humans. In humans, mutations of this gene are associated with increased risks of heart diseases. Polar bears may therefore be an important study model to understand heart disease in humans. The genome of polar bear may also provide the solution for another condition on that particularly affects our older generation, osteoporosis. Okay, this is a disease where bones show reduced density, usually caused by insufficient exercise, reduced calcium intake, or food starvation. Bone tissue is constantly being remodeled, meaning that bone is added or removed depending on nutrient availability and the stress that the bone is under. The genome of the polar bear may also provide the solution for another condition on that particularly affects our older generation, osteoporosis. This is a disease where bones show reduced density, usually caused by insufficient exercise, reduced calcium intake, or food starvation. Bone tissue is constantly being remodeled, meaning that bone is added or removed depending on nutrient availability and the stress that the bone is under. Female polar bears, however, undergo extreme conditions during every pregnancy. Once autumn comes around, these females will dig maternally dens in the snow and will remain there throughout the winter, both before and after the birth of their calves. This process results in about 6 months fasting, where the female bears have to keep themselves and their calves alive, depleting their own calcium and calorie reserves. Despite this, their bones remain strong and dense. Female polar bears, however, undergo extreme conditions during every pregnancy. Once autumn comes around, these females will dig maternity dens in the snow and will remain there throughout the winter, both before and after the birth of their calves. This process results in about 6 months fasting, where the female bears have to keep themselves and their calves alive, depleting their own calcium and calorie reserves. Despite this, their bones remain strong and dense. Physios- Physiologists Alan Lennox and Alan Goodchef found an explanation for this paradox in 2008. They discovered that pregnant bears were able to increase the density of their bones before they started to build their dens. In addition, 6 months later, when they finally emerged from the den with their calves, there's no evidence of significant loss of bone density. Physiologists Alanda Lennox and Alan Bushy found an explanation for this paradox in 2008. They discovered that pregnant bears were able to increase the density of their bones before they started to build their dens. In addition, 6 months later, when they finally emerged from the den with their calves, there's no evidence of significant loss of bone density. Hibernating brown bears don't have this capacity and must therefore resort to major bone reformation in the following spring. If the mechanism of bone remodeling in polar bears can be understood, many bedridden humans and even astronauts could potentially benefit. Hibernating brown bears don't have this capacity and must therefore resort to major bone reformation in the following spring if the mechanism of bone remodeling in polar bears can be understood. Many bedridden humans and even astronauts could potentially benefit. The medical benefits of the polar bear for humanity certainly have the importance in our conservation efforts, but this should not be the only factors taken into consideration. We tend to want to protect animals we think are intelligent and possess emotions, such as elephant and primates. Bears, on the other hand, seem to be perceived as stupid and in many cases violent. The medical benefits of the polar bear for humanity certainly have the importance in our conservation efforts, but this should not be the only factors taken into consideration. We tend to want to protect animals. We think they are intelligent and possess emotions, such as elephants and primates. Therefore, bears on the other hand seems to be seems to be perceived as stupid and in many cases violent. Bears, on the other hand, seem to be perceived as stupid and many cases violent. And yet, anecdotal evidence from the field challenges those assumptions, suggesting, for example, that polar bears have good problem-solving abilities. A male bear called Gogo in Tennoji Zoo, Osaka, has even been observed making use of a tool to manipulate his environment. Okay, and yet anecdotal evidence from the field challenges those assumptions, suggesting, for example, that polar bears have good problem-solving abilities. A male bear called Gogo in Tennoji-ju, Osaka, has even been observed making use of a tool to manipulate his environment. The bear used a tree branch on multiple occasions to dislodge a pitch of meat hang out of his reach. Problem-solving ability has also been witnessed in wild polar bears, although not as obviously as with Gogo. A calculated move by a male bear involved running and jumping onto barrels in an attempt to go to a photographer standing on a platform 4 meters high. The bear used a tree branch on multiple occasions to dislodge a pitch of meat hang out of his reach. Problem-solving ability has also been witnessed in wild polar bears, although not as obviously as with Gogo. A calculated move by a male bear involved running and jumping onto barrels in an attempt to go to a photographer standing on a platform 4 meters high. In other studies, such as one by Alison Ames in 2008, polar bears showed deliberate and focused manipulation. For example, Ames observed bears putting objects in pile and knocking them over in what appear to be a game. Okay, study demonstrates that bears are capable of agile and thought-out behaviors. This example suggests bears have greater creativity and problem-solving abilities than previously thought. Okay. In other studies, such as on by Alison Arms in 2008, polar bears showed deliberate and focused manipulation. For example, Arms observed bears putting objects in piles and then knocking them over in what appeared to be a game. Study demonstrate that bears are capable of agile and thought-out behaviors. This example suggests bears have greater creativity and problem-solving ability than previously thought. As for emotions of why, the evidence was again anecdotal. Many bears have been seen to hit out at ice and snow, seemingly out of frustration when they have just missed out on a kill. Moreover, polar bears can form unusual relationship with other species, including playing with dogs used to pull sleds in Arctic. As for emotions, while the evidence once again anecdotal, many bears have been seen to hit out at ice and snow, seemingly out of frustration when they have just missed out on a kill. For moreover, polar bears can form unusual relationship with other species, including playing with the dogs used to pull sleeds in the Arctic. Remarkably, on-hand raised polar bears called Azzy has formed a close relationship with her owner Magdamas to the point where they even swim together. This is even more astonishing since polar bears are known to actively human, humans in the wild. Okay, remarkably, one hand-raised polar bears called Azzy has formed a close relationship with her owner Magdamas to the point where they even swim together. This is even more astonishing since polar bears are known to actively hunt humans in the wild. If climate change were to lead to their extinction, this would mean not only the loss of potential breakthroughs in human medicine, but more importantly, the disappearance of the intelligent, majestic animal. If the climate change were to lead to their extinction, this would mean not only the loss of potential breakthroughs in human medicine, but more importantly, the disappearance of the intelligent, majestic animal. Questions 1 to 7. Do the following statements agree with the information given in reading classes 1? In boxes 1 to 7 on your answer sheet, write. 2. If the statement agrees with the information, false. If the statement contradicts the information not given, if there is no information on this. 1. Polar bears suffer from various health problems due to the buildup of fat under their skin. So the study done by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bears. Question 1 to 7. Do the following statements agree with the information given in reading classes 1? In boxes 1 to 7 on your answer sheet, write 2 if the statement agrees with the information, false if the statement contradicts the information, not given if there is no information on this. 1. Polar bears suffer from various health problems due to the buildup of fat under their skin. The study done by Liu and his colleagues compared different groups of polar bears. Liu and colleagues were the first researchers to compare the polar bears and brown bears genetically. 4. Polar bears are able to control their levels of bad cholesterol by genetic means. For female bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. Six, if it was found that the bones of female polar bears were very weak, they came out of their dens in Spain. Seven, the polar bear's mechanism for increasing bone density could also be used by people on day. Three, Liu and colleagues were the first researchers to compare the polar bears and brown bears genetically. Four, polar bears are able to control their levels of bad cholesterol by genetic means. Five, female bears are able to survive for about 6 months without food. Six, it was found that the bones of female polar bears were very weak. They came out of their dens in Spain. Seven, the polar bear's mechanism for increasing bone density could also be used by people on day. Questions 8 to 13. Complete the table below. Choose on word only from the passage for each answer. Write your answers in boxes 8 to 13 on your answer sheet. Reasons why polar bears should be protected. People think of bears as unintelligent and dash dash dash. However, this may not be correct. For example, in the Noji Zoo, a bear has been seen using a branch as a question number 9. This allowed him to knock down some question number 10. Questions 8 to 13 you have to answer. Okay, and you have to complete the table which has been given below. You have to choose only one word from the passage for each answer, and you will write your answer in boxes 8 to 13 on your answer sheet. And the heading, reasons why polar bears should be protected. People think of bears bears as unintelligent, and 8 number question answer you have to write down. However, this may not be correct. For example, in Tenmuji Zoo, a bear has been seen using a branch as a question number 9. This allowed him to knock down some question number 10. You have to answer here 8, 9, 10. And remaining 3 I'll discuss later. The heading, reasons why polar bears should be protected. Wild polar bears worked out a method of reaching a platform where you have to ask question 11. You have to say question 11. You have to answer question 11 was located. Wild polar bears work out a method of reaching a platform where 11 question was located. Polar bears have displayed behavior such as cautious manipulation of objects and creativity similar to our 12 question. Okay, polar bears have displayed behavior such as cautious manipulation of objects and activity similar to our 12 question. Answer you have to give. Wild polar bears worked out a method of reaching a platform while a 11 number question was located. Polar bears have displayed a behavior such as cautious manipulation of object and activity similar to our 12 question number answer you have to give. Bears may also display emotions. For example, they may make movements suggesting 13 number question if disappointed when hunting. They may form relationship with other species. Bears may also display emotions. For example, they may make movements suggesting 13 number question if disappointed when hunting. They may form relationship with other species.